Hello there.
Welcome to this, a video starting with our faces. That's unique, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always unique.
We don't always do that.
We don't do that at
Actually,
all.
we don't do it ever. A few exceptions.
And welcome to the video.
Yes. We'll get to that. It's a brand new series.
It is a brand new series.
Brand new series. Should we roll the intro?
Shall we just roll it?
Let's roll the intro.
Let's roll it.
What a lovely intro that was.
That's fantastic.
So, you might be thinking, oh, what's a rank off? Well, like every single other YouTuber out there, we're doing a ranked series. But unlike every other YouTuber, I've made a nice, unique layout.
Look at that.
Yeah, look at it.
Yeah, look at it.
Andrew, look at it.
Daniel, let's look at it, because...
Oh.
So, today...
Andrew, run us through. Actually, do you want me to run us?
Yeah, no, you do it, because you made it.
Yeah.
What? This is your offspring.
So yeah, this is my idea. No one else has done this before. Those who don't know what, like, it's basically a tiered site that most people use, and you use it to rank things in any order.
Yeah.
From worst to best.
Yes.
It's not like a list where it counts down to one. It's basically just like we have these individual sections, and we list things in them. I'm running out of words, and then we basically put like whatever's the greatest and whatever's the worst, basically.
In our opinion.
Yeah. This is all our own tastes and opinions.
Yes. So today we are doing Pokemon.
The
Generations.
Not
games.
Generations. Yeah, it's the main series Pokemon games.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, that's right. Just to throw a spanner in your works.
Yes, they did throw a spanner in my works, to be honest.
It's alright. I'm sure you've got notes that can apply to the individual games as well.
Sure.
In your brain.
Right here. So today, we are, as Daniel said, we are doing the Pokemon games.
Yes.
From our opinion of what is worst to best.
So basically, we'll go through some caveats. We're doing all the main series Pokemon games. So that's basically any game that has 2 versions and then a 3rd version or a sequel. Mm-hmm. So no spin-offs, no whatever random standalone games.
Yeah.
These are all the ones that fall under the generation Pokemon games. And
today we have very, very special categories.
Yes.
We have.
We'll start at the top.
Yes.
We've got Arceus here, which is the best.
Yeah, what we think is the best.
Elite 4 level.
Elite 4 level.
Which is, still fantastic.
Yeah.
And a good.
This
is the one I struggle with the name of. A good Pika romp. That might change later in another video. So that's like still a good game, but not spectacular. But still
it's alright. It's not bad, not good. It's alright.
Yeah. And not quite Feebas is like.
It's not terrible.
It's not terrible, but it has things that drag it down.
Yeah.
Below like a good game.
And then last but not least, a little rubbish.
A little bit rubbish.
Yes.
So basically, I didn't go too extreme on these because most Pokemon games aren't awful.
Yeah. There's just things about them that we don't like.
Yeah, so basically we'll be ranking things in here based on how they rank compared to the others, basically.
Yes.
So if it's super low, it won't be that it's a terrible game, it'll be just compared to like other games, it won't be as good.
Yeah.
In our opinion. So, you can get angry in the chat if you want, but instead of getting angry, just put what you'd put in different orders.
Yeah, well...
Because we'd like to hear your thoughts.
Yes.
But these are our thoughts, and we're going to start right now.
Yes.
So Andrew, are we starting with oldest to newest? Or we do newest to what? Or are we going starting recent and then going back?
Ooh, okay. It's a hard choice. We'll start oldest to newest.
Okay. We'll start in terms of release.
Yes. So we're going. Are we do is green included or is it just red and blue? Okay. So red and blue.
Because we technically didn't play green in this country anyway, so.
Red and blue. Is it and yellow or is it just red and blue?
No, It's
separate.
red and blue at thingy, and then yellow separate.
Right.
Because they released separately.
Okay, so Daniel, red and blue.
Now, in terms of how important it is, it has to be an Arceus tier, surely.
Yeah,
but
I.
If you look at it subjectively in terms of the quality of the game compared to others, it's probably more Elite Four.
Yeah, I'd say it's Elite Four level. But I'd say it was Arceus tier just because of obviously the nostalgia of it. It's what started everything. It's like what got us into Pokemon in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be Elite Four level because some stuff does drag it down.
It hasn't aged well.
It hasn't aged well. There's so many glitches in it. Like, yeah, it's the first game, and you expect one to be like some glitches. But
yeah,
critical hits being tied to speed. Using focus energy like reduces your crit chance.
Zero.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know about till I told.
And then there's like a few other things, and like Gust being a normal move.
Yeah.
Karate Chop was a normal move. Yeah.
I remember using Mega Punch once and it hit Gengar. There's loads of random stuff like that that just happened.
And then it was just like, and then you had like Flareon could learn like Blizzard. Or something. It could learn. I swear it could learn like an ice move, or Ice Punch or something.
It's just even better. It doesn't even have a face and use like Ice Punch.
There was just all these like weird things about it, and like the sprites, even though like it was like sort of iconic, and it was kind of more to before the anime, wasn't it? Because they already did. Like, and it was just like, but when you saw the anime as a kid, because I saw the anime first, and then I got the game.
Yeah, it's weird.
I was like, what is this? And then you saw Charmeleon, and just like Homer Simpson from the background. Oh no, not even Homer Simpson, Moomin.
Yeah, it was Moomin. Yeah,
Moomin with a horn there like that. But then like, I don't want to go into that yet. But I'd say just as for the nostalgia, it brings it really high up. But then like it brings it down.
You can't see it. Well, you will see it in edit.
You see it in edit, yeah. Daniel selfish.
So, what do you reckon? Well, actually, we talked about the negatives. What the positives are. It was the first games. The first games, so the importance are up there. It's up there.
Yeah, I'd say it's extremely important. Because it's like I said, it is the first game of the series. It's like
it started the whole thing.
It is, and then it unfortunately like this is kind of like puts me down a little bit as well. But it's not even really related to this gen. It's more related to the later gens because they just use this as a shoehorn generation.
Yeah, it does because it's good because of nostalgia, but because also a negative of the nostalgia is that they'll always like lean on it and use the Pokemon from it to like appeal to older fans in newer games.
And it's just like,
and it can get a bit
like when we get to later generations, I'll talk about why. But this is all about Gen 1. I mean, the music was iconic as well.
The music was good.
We had like Lavender Town and like. Lavender
Town was great.
The
SSN.
SSN, and then you had like the Pokemon gym music and stuff, and the battles and things. And then like there was actually like a secret. It wasn't really a secret. Like another tier below, like one shape on a Pokeball or no shapes on a Pokeball, and that was Pokeball missing.
Alright.
Do you not remember that?
No.
You throw a Pokeball like a legendary and it'd miss.
Oh yeah. I do remember that. The legendaries, yeah. God.
So you had to put him to sleep in order to be able to catch him, or so you had to put like a status element on him or something, or it wouldn't work. It was like, all right, okay, thanks.
It's so random. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was just like it only ever appeared in Gen 1.
Yeah, these all these mechanics introduced in it, like actually don't really work.
Yeah. So
I was gonna say either bottom of Arceus tier, depending on what else goes in there, or the top of Elite Four.
Yeah.
So I reckon top of Elite Four.
Yeah.
But then Pokemon Yellow.
Hello.
So technically, this is in many ways better than Red and Blue.
Yeah, technically.
In terms of content added. I mean, it's technically still the same game.
Yeah.
But they polished up a lot of the sprites.
Yeah, all the front sprites were fantastic.
Yeah.
All the back sprites were the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because it was all to do with like the anime and stuff, and it was just like trying to link it to
Ash's. Based on Ash's journey, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was based on Ash's journey, and you actually got all the starters and stuff like that, whereas in the first game you didn't. So it was really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. It was that interesting. My throat made a noise.
And the fact that Pikachu followed you around was amazing.
Yeah, that was good. That was something I'd use later on.
Yeah.
Mechanic.
Yes.
But in terms of a lot more, it didn't offer too much more.
No, there was just like slight changes to
It's basically just like an alternate version of Red and Blue, but with a few fancy new things.
Yeah, it's like Pikachu followed you. You got
Team Rocket or any like Jesse James.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Meowth didn't talk or follow them around, which
No.
would have been cool. But yeah, I reckon probably drag Red and Blue back a bit and then put like.
So you think?
So I reckon Yellow just in front of.
Yeah, I'd say it was like just.
It's just like a better version of Red and Blue, but only slightly better.
There you go. Look at that.
Even though I reckon if anything dragged it down, it would have been the Pokemon that appeared in it, because some of the choices like the balance, like Red and Blue obviously had the balance of Pokemon appeared in each game, and Yellow had like a weird random mix where certain Pokemon didn't appear at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, okay.
But then like you got all your starters, but then you didn't get like obviously the Team Rocket Pokemon. And something else, I can't remember.
Yeah, there's a few Pokemon.
I can bring that up right now if you want.
You can do.
Right, you couldn't get a Raichu.
Yeah, you can evolve Pikachu like the anime. I didn't know about Beedrill. It's so random.
Yeah, that is weird. Weedle, Kakuna, Beedrill.
Yeah, but
Ekans, Arbok, Raichu. Like Jinx,
but those are the only ones. But yeah, I thought it was more than that to be honest. But that's still random that Weedle's done it. I guess just because it focuses on Butterfree.
Yeah, it focused on Butter because Ash had a Butterfree.
Team Rocket mainly.
Team Rocket, and then just Jinx, Electabuzz, and Magmar.
That's so random.
That's
they
selfish.
don't like Jinx. I get Electabuzz and Magmar because they're technically like, oh, red and blue.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, more common ones. So random.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd say it was still in the Elite Four tier, and it's just slightly above.
Yeah, just because the things adds, it just edges it a bit.
Yeah.
But then, you have Gen 2, Andrew. The introduction of Gen 2. Gold and Silver. It has to be in the Arceus tier.
Oh, it does. I'd say it's in the Arceus. I know a lot of people, like, recently I found out a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, but
yeah, like, I've seen when I was just, like, getting all this together and looking at what other people have done and stuff, I did notice people have, like, lowered it. They didn't lower. But not us, Andrew.
No, we love Gen 2 because it's just there's a lot of things about it that are just fantastic.
We'll get into Tuesday because we did a whole bias review.
Yeah, we did. But the music, the story's like okay. It's like it's interesting because it's a sequel to Gen 1.
Yeah, well, it felt like the first one with a proper story in terms of like developments, like throughout the game. Like it showed Team Rocket like really early on.
Yeah.
And just gradually build up to it. And obviously carried on from Gen 1.
Yeah, there was a good carry on from that, and it's just like, oh, well, what would Team Rocket do in that instance?
Yeah.
The only thing that like I don't really like about Gen 2 is the level scaling.
Yeah.
But
which you have to do because of adding in Kanto.
And then like once you hit Equity, you can go to Mahogany or you could go to Olivine and stuff, and it was just like it was really open because you got Surf in Equity.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could use it, but you could go through Mount Mortar and then get to it.
You no, you could use it because you have to go across Olivine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit like the map was a bit like.
It was a bit confusing, but it was just really nostalgic.
Basically,
for me.
took Red and Blue and just like improves on it in every way.
Yeah,
like,
all the sprites, they added 2 new types to balance it out.
Yeah.
They didn't add many into those types, but like they added.
That was another slight negative.
Yeah.
Same with Dragon. There's no new Dragon types. I know Kingdra.
Yeah, Kingdra, and then there was like Mistreverse.
Yeah, only Mistreverse for Ghosts.
And it's just like, okay, well, why? But that was one thing as well, that a lot of the Pokemon in that generation, they were just kind of standalone and they didn't evolve. Yeah. And you're like, oh, this should evolve, and they just didn't.
Especially when you consider that the games were meant to be like a final sequel.
Yeah. But I think they're fantastic. It's just
the negatives are like really hard to like list really. I mean, you can say it's for any Pokemon game. I guess it's like aged not great, but compared to Red and Blue, it's aged a lot better.
Yeah, I could still sit down and play Gold and Silver, or
definitely,
or the other one that we'll get into in a minute.
Next, yeah, introduce those.
Because it was the first game that had like It wasn't the first game with legendaries, but it was the first one with legendaries on the box, and it kind of made you want to go out and search for them and stuff. And they were like both in like hidden locations that were hard to sort of navigate.
Yeah.
Especially Lugia.
Yeah. Anything else?
With the World Islands.
Yeah.
And it was like after a certain point, it was like, okay, you can go off and get these Pokemon. They weren't tied to the story. They just were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's also supposed to be lacking the best because, like, the mechanics introduced the ones that are like used like constantly from that point on, like friendship and breeding, and, like eggs and loads of random stuff. Day
yeah,
and
they
night,
introduced that. They introduced Day and Night, which was fantastic.
game and stuff like that.
Where it was just like Advanced Darkness. They went nighttime.
Darkness.
It was just like someone just turned off the light switch.
Yeah,
It was just
things happening on day of the week and stuff.
Oh yeah, that was really cool. Like you'd have certain battles and stuff, and you'd have certain people who give you items each day of the week.
Yeah.
And like little events and like the radio and just there was like all this mystery to it as well. It was like the Ruins of Alph.
Yeah, he was like a big focus on legendaries, wasn't he? Really?
Yeah.
Like because the whole Johto was like very old, like region, like old Japanese.
Yeah, it's very
Japanese style region.
What's it supposed to be based on? What region is it actually based on?
I'm not sure the actual.
I know.
Johto, Andrew.
Johto. I know. Owen is Kyushu.
Yeah, because it's like well, it's all like that. yeah, bastard. But yeah, definitely.
Say so.
Top of Arceus tier for now.
Yes.
Until Crystal came out.
Until Crystal came out, where they took that game and they did a lot of things better. They animated the sprites, first of all.
First animated sprites.
And it was really crazy because it was just like, oh my god, how did they do that sort of thing?
Yeah, first is well, Gold and Silver was first full color, but Crystal it took more advantage of.
Yeah, it took more advantage of it because it was actually only for the Game Boy Color.
Yeah,
as Daniel found out.
I did find out.
And then they added some more story points into it because it kind of kept the same story, obviously, because it's like just a third version.
Yeah,
but it went into detail about the beasts. I'm not saying dogs because they're not dogs.
Why did everyone did say dogs?
Yeah,
did they say dogs in the game?
No.
Yeah.
Everyone's just like, they're dogs. I'm like, they're not dogs.
Yeah, because that's what do you say? I think the other day the interview was
Yeah.
like explaining like mythical beasts and stuff inspired by.
Yeah. And it went all about Suicune.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh, what about the Legend of Suicune sort of thing? And then you were like, oh, what about the other two? But they were still there. They were still gallivanting around.
Suicune and the rest.
But Suicune was just like...
Just to focus because they're using... Like, you focus on him searching for himself.
Yeah. And it kind of like... It added a new level to it. And then there was like other certain things that were in there that just...
They added the battle tower.
Yeah, they added the battle tower. They added like... I was going to say they added the Dragon's Den.
Boy girl.
Oh yeah, there was Chris was in it.
So you can actually choose your gender.
Yeah, it was the first game where you could choose your gender. And they added like Ethan and Chris. Was it Ethan? Yeah, I think it was Ethan actually.
No, Andrew. Gold.
Not gold, he's Ethan.
He's gold.
Selfish.
He's selfish.
Yeah. It was just like, again, like, because it is a third version, the exclusives in it were, or the Pokemon that weren't in it were really weird.
Yeah, like Mareep wasn't in it, was it?
Yeah, it was just like, okay. And then like Remoraid and Octillery weren't in it.
Yeah, just really random choices.
They were just like, oh, let's just select a random Pokemon. Because obviously a lot of Kanto Pokemon were in it, but a bar of like the legendaries and the starters and stuff, and a few others that weren't there.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of position, I'd say Gold and Silver. Again, it did what Yellow did to Red and Blue, but to a more drastic degree. Because it surpassed it, and then it's just a bunch of new mechanics.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we had a break for a while, and then it was like, oh.
Yeah, because I found out about Ruby and Sapphire quite late on. To be honest, it was already out.
Yeah, I did. I think I saw it in like a game magazine, which I then bought, and it was like a guide for it, and I was like, oh, I want this.
I remember seeing Cerebi, like I found Cerebi for the first time, and I was just like, what is this? And I went through and I looked at the Pokemon, and I was like, I don't understand.
Yeah, because it's the first one where like the Pokemon look like, I don't know. It was weird. It's weird to explain. Like Gold and Silver and Red and Blue was sort of around the same period, like the huge Pokemon craze.
Yeah.
But like Ruby and Sapphire sort of came after the huge like boom sort of thing, where a lot of people had fallen out of it.
Yeah. I mean, I fell out of it for a while, and then
Yeah.
like I downloaded a ROM and started playing, and I was like, okay, this is fantastic.
Yeah, because a lot of us enjoyed playing it like with mates and stuff. So when a lot like it fell out of fashion, it's just sort of like, oh, we've got no one to play with now. So I was into it.
Well, what did you think of Ruby and Sapphire?
Very horny. In terms of music, I mean.
In terms of trumpets.
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember it feeling like really new and not like a Pokemon game when I first played it.
Yeah, I thought that.
Just because of how it looked. Because obviously the Game Boy Advance was obviously advanced, like a lot more than the Game Boy Color was. And it just, I don't know, like, because the sprites were like shaped differently.
Yeah, they were shaped different, but like the back sprites, they use the same ones as Gen 2. They just look, yeah. If you actually look at it, like I think Skarmory is probably the best example. It's actually like the same sprite from the
that's crazy.
Skarmory. Watch me be wrong now.
I know, I should be completely different.
But yeah, I like when I first played Gen 3, I was like, I thought it was okay. So they just like moved it up slightly and just added like a bit more detail.
Yeah, here's a bit more wing.
Yeah, but it's like exactly the same thing, and then that was different. But those were the same.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, I'd like it. Probably at this point, like if these 3 gens had come out, I would probably say it was my least favorite.
Yeah, like.
But it was still great.
It was still great, but there was a lot of things missing from it.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed was no day and night.
Yeah, it was just like there was a clock,
but not the day and night cycle.
Yeah, and it was just like
was it days of the week?
No, there was just a clock.
So like, as graphically good as it was, like, I started noticing like things like that, like little things. Well, not little things, big things.
And it was just like, it was confusing as to why it wasn't there. Like, it visually looked really interesting and stuff, and then you had like Brendan with his mysterious hat that everyone thought was his hair for like years.
I think I still did. Up until you just said it. So.
Yeah, it's not his hair. It's a hat. It's like a band. If you actually look at the back, he's got like hair underneath it.
That's disgusting. Put it in a way. It's a little bit rubbish, just for that.
But at the same time, for me, it introduced one of my favorite Pokemon. So like that raises it up a little bit. But at the time,
Who's
like,
Andrew?
Okay.
Certainly is.
But I do remember like playing through it and just feeling like, okay, well, this is really cool because it's the first one that sort of introduced the story element of legendaries, like the proper story elements. Because like in Crystal, it was just kind of like a side thing.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do it, whereas this was like a main plot where like Team Aqua and Team Magma, which is really cool that there was a team based on each version.
Competing teams.
They were trying to awaken Groudon and Kyogre. But then, like, the selection of Pokemon was kind of weird. And obviously, at the time, you couldn't transfer from... I mean, you still can't. You couldn't transfer from Gold and Silver, Red and Blue to Gen 3. So it felt separate, and it just didn't feel connected.
Wasn't there a way to do it?
No. You could transfer from Gen 1 to Gen 2, but you couldn't transfer anything higher than that. It was on the Advance. So that kind of made it feel like standalone, which is fine, but it just didn't feel connected.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a separate game compared to the others, because the others were very much connected.
Yeah, I really enjoy it. Like, I love the region. I think
I appreciate it more now.
Yeah,
I loved it at the time. Played it to death.
Yeah, I remember like printing stuff off for you because you were like, "Oh, I don't know where to get this Pokemon."
Yeah,
like,
you
get it.
Print off guides, yeah.
Here, Daniel, this is how you get this Pokemon.
Yeah.
I made it like, I mean, we'll get into that once we get there, but there was a time, obviously the time feature, and it did work like day and night. Like if a Pokemon evolved at night, then you would have to wait till after 6 PM.
It just looked like daytime.
It just always looked like daytime, and it was kind of weird, and it was just like, all right. Yeah. But overall, I'd say it was good. I think, I don't know, where would you put it? I'd probably put it a good peak or romp, because it was really good, but at the same time it was, because of the way it felt.
I was thinking that, yeah. Technically, it should be on Elite 4 level, but
yeah.
What we can do, once we've got them all down at the end, We'll go through again.
Yeah.
And see where they all fall, and then we can rejig stuff about. Let's put it in a good peek around for now.
I think just because of like the way it changed everything, and it's like I really appreciate Gen 3 now. Like it's one of my favorite generations.
Good Pokemon.
Really like I really like when I first played it, like I didn't really like the Pokemon. I was like really struggling to make a team, and then like once we got into the next one, I finally made a team, and then once we got into the further one, I made a different team. So.
Are we doing it in terms of release? Because the other games came out before this, which are also on there.
I think we should just do it.
Do Emerald.
Yeah.
It's just
so Emerald, I'm going to say straight away, I think should be Elite Four tier.
Yeah.
Just because of the change it did bring to the games.
Yeah.
It added stuff that was pretty much missing from Ruby and Sapphire.
Go on, list it off quickly so you reminded me. It's been a while since.
Yeah. There was a lot more double battles,
yeah,
which was introduced into Gen 3, and then when you actually played Ruby and Sapphire, there wasn't that many double battles.
Just like the odd
and they like really went overboard with them in Emerald. It was like every other trainer was like a double battle. There was the Battle Frontier, which even though we were not like a massive like competitive people, I thought they were really fun.
Yeah, it was an interesting way too because they took the battle tower and they expanded it.
And they expanded it, and that was like phenomenal.
Yeah, it's like a whole island dedicated to it, which is really cool.
Obviously, the story points wise, you had both Team Aqua and Team Magma in the game, and they were, and then like they added like new areas. They added like a magma base that was on Mount Chimney, and then they added like the whole Rayquaza section where you go down and you had to go get Rayquaza, and he flew off to Sotopolis, and he came down like a
told off Kyogre and Groudon.
I'm trying to eat a sandwich. Just go away.
So like, I can't reach. Oh jeez. Just noodle head, just like.
There's always like that picture of like artwork from Gen 3, and it shows like Brendan and May riding their bikes, and it shows Rayquaza in the background. He's like, this is like Rayquaza. Just
and Rayquaza.
Just always looking like he's gonna crack a joke.
Yeah. Was that like the ones in Gen 4 as well? Yeah, a lot of them were like that, just expressions.
But there was a lot of nice changes. I don't think they added any new Pokemon into it. Like, oh yeah, they did. They added like Gen 2 Pokemon into it.
Yeah.
They added like Houndour. They added Marie, Teddiursa, Gligar.
Because when like post game, you could get a lot more to appear in the wild and stuff as well.
And then randomly, well, there is a reason for that, and we'll go into it in a minute. Once we get to the next game, is that if you completed the Hoendex, you got a Chikorita, Totodile, or a Cyndaquil.
Yeah.
They gave you one.
Yeah, that was it, the starters, yeah.
But I'd say it's like, because of the changes that it did make to the story, it's really hard though. It's really freaking hard. Like I was playing through it like at the start of lockdown, and like I still need to finish it because like I went off to do training.
Yeah.
And I just never got back to it because it was just like the training was just taking forever. But like, oh my god, Liza and Tate in Ruby and Sapphire were pushovers, and
had them all trained up.
They just had they had was a Lunatone and a Solrock, and then in this one they had not a Natu, a Xatu and a Claydol, and the Claydol had Earthquake, so it couldn't hit Xatu. So they were really strategic about it. So it's really hard.
Start getting the double team strategies in the game.
And I was like, gee, and you'd end up like most of the time nearly getting wiped, and you had to really focus on one Pokemon in order to get past them. And then you had like, and then they had the Lunatone and the Solrock. And then the gym leader changed.
Yeah, the last gym leader.
Juan. That's one thing I probably didn't really like about it, because I really like Steven Stone as a champion.
Yeah.
I think he's a better champion than Wallace. I think the way the anime did it made more sense, was that Wallace was the champion of the contests.
Oh, yeah.
And then that was another thing introduced that we didn't talk about as contests, but we didn't really do them.
No, no problem. Was Emerald meant to be set after Ruby and Sapphire?
No, it was the same time.
Oh, yeah, 'cause it's the same characters on it. Yeah. It just thought then, because like the champion and thing had swapped around, so I was thinking in my head like maybe it,
And then like after you completed the game, you could go off and you could battle Steven, which is really cool.
Yeah.
He had like his Steel and Rock team.
He was like the red.
Yeah. That's one thing we didn't say about Golden Silver, was that you could battle red.
Yeah,
It's too much. We've got too much to talk
cover
about.
all these in our own biased reviews.
We'll generalize. Yeah, biased. So where are you gonna put it, Andrew?
I think Elite 4 level, just because of the changes
in front of yellow.
Yes.
Yeah. You don't have to like move them all around on this one, because I'll just do it for our own reference.
Let me just put it right underneath there. Hang on, I can do this. It's fine. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that.
Look at that.
I'm good. I am.
So then, so before Emerald, actually, technically
before Emerald, but I think we just needed to really cover Emerald.
Yeah, because
there was Fly Red and Leaf Green.
Yeah, remakes
of Red and Blue, or Red and Green, but Blue technically.
Yeah.
And this is where like the trading between Gen 3 became apparent, because they made it so you could get like the Gen 1 Pokemon and some of the Gen 2. And then on Emerald, you could get the rest of the Gen 2 pretty much. So between the two versions, you could get all the Pokemon.
Yeah, basically.
Or say the two versions, the two generations in Gen 3, you could get all the Pokemon, but it's really hard.
And he's also like added like Johto Pokemon in it as well.
Yeah.
Sort of like.
Because there was no other way of getting Johto Pokemon.
Decks out sort of thing. So because technically, like, in terms of content and how much they polish it, how it looks and stuff, they're better than Red and Blue.
Yeah.
Like, obviously they're better. But obviously that comes with time. Technically it's still the same game.
Yeah, it's still the same game, but they added new stuff into it. Added new mechanics that were introduced in Gen 2.
New areas, new islands and
stuff.
The
islands.
Which are sort of like the Orange Islands, really, in a way.
Which has just made them the Orange Islands.
So it wasn't really yellow, was it? You couldn't have Pokemon follow you.
No.
It was still
Red and Blue, but they added new areas into it, which is cool.
Yeah.
And visually, it looked really cool at the time, and you're like, oh wow, it's all like, I really wanted to see like this game in Gen 3 style.
Yeah.
But it still had its own style, and Leaf was introduced into that one. The girl.
Oh, right, yeah. I was like, Leaf?
Yeah. She was introduced into it.
Two main characters, Leaf and Fire. Yeah, I don't have loads to say about it, because it was just Red and Blue again, but polished.
Yeah.
With extra stuff. So obviously, technically, I'd say it has to go in front of Yellow.
Yeah, I'd say that.
But in a way, it's still not as high as Emerald. Like, it was good, but like, it's hard to explain.
I think it was
a remake.
Yeah, it was a remake. It's harder to kind of fit it, but because of what it did and it brought into the mechanics of the games that came after it, it felt more complete. And then there was no issues, there was no glitches or anything.
Yeah.
But it still kept that level of nostalgia and like managed to incorporate stuff like the TMs that were later added down the line and stuff, and all the moves and things. So I think like it was a really good polished version.
Yeah.
Of those.
Of the classics. So
yeah.
In front of Yellow, under Emerald.
Okay. See you later. Go on then, Daniel. Carry on.
Well, so then, we're straight on to Diamond and Pearl, aren't we?
Yeah.
God, Gen 4.
Gen 4.
Were we like expecting this? I think we were, weren't we?
Yeah. This is the time where we were just like,
oh,
let's look at everything.
Yeah. You were on Cerebral all the time. I was like, yeah.
I was really excited when I first saw like Gen 4 coming. I was so excited for it. Like,
because when Gen 3 came out, I sort of like lent you sort of my like, Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, until I got my own.
Because that's like when yeah, because technically, even though like I was playing it before you, it was still sort of the gen where I was like, rediscovering Pokemon again. Sort of.
Yeah.
But Gen 4, like, yeah, we were looking forward to it, weren't we? Because like
it's very slow.
Very slow, yeah. Well, like
text speed and everything, just everything about it was really slow.
Yeah.
You could speed it up, but it was just like, it's still like really, it just played slow.
Yeah, because like graphically, it was on the first one on the DS.
It was the first on the DS, and it was the first one where they introduced like actual 3D models into it and stuff. But it was still sprite based.
Yeah, it was sort of like a weird
amalgamation.
Like, so like the towns and stuff were sort of 3D-ish, like sprite 3D-ish.
Yeah. The Pokemon were really good in it as well.
I really like the Pokemon.
Yeah, the region itself, I love Sinnoh. I think Sinnoh's a fantastic.
Do you know what?
region.
I think Sinnoh's up there with like Johto for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It had the sort of a similar vibe, even though it wasn't as traditionally Japanese. It still felt a bit like, I don't know.
I felt like Team. Hang on. Galactic.
Yeah, that's the one.
I felt like their goal was very.
I like Team Galactic.
Yeah, I really like it.
I think they're probably my second favourite to Team Rocket.
Yeah, they're very.
But that's for another video.
Yeah.
He's right now.
They're very what do you call it? It's very militant in the way it's happening. It's not like they're like a mob boss or a mob family, sort of like Team Rocket.
Like initially, I think that's what makes me like them. That they acted like Team Rocket in a way.
Yeah,
but their aspirations were higher.
Yeah,
and they were more organised.
They were more organised, and like they were just like, oh well. And Cyrus, like, we'll get into it with Platinum, but Cyrus was just like, oh well, I'm gonna like fucking kill you all, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I'm just sick of your shit. Apart from Sunny Shore, I really like Sunny Shore. That's where he was from.
All right.
And he was just like, and they were like, oh yeah, we never got attacked by. Yeah. The Algorand pack, because it was about the.
This was very legendary heavy.
Yeah, it was very legendary.
If Hone wasn't already, this one took it to a. It's pretty much like from Gold and Silver onwards, it became focused on the legendaries.
Yeah. It's really interesting what they're actually based on, because it is all about the actual spear pillar and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember what the gods are called. It was like based on 2 gods.
What religion?
Japan.
Japan religion.
Japan religion.
Yeah, because it's based on space and time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was all like creationism.
Yeah, it was
like
very
legendaries.
And then it was like, and then it obviously had Arceus in that one.
Yeah. It was just like, oh, we'll make this mythical Pokemon.
Shinto legend.
Oh yeah. Oh, I thought you meant like the name. Oh yeah, it's.
Zangief and Zangief.
Oh yeah, I know those guys. Yeah, because what do you do in Gen 4? You had loads of like event Pokemon.
They did.
Like Arceus was like
Arceus, Darkrai, Shaman,
Manaphy,
and Fion. But Manaphy was a weird one because it was like you only got 1 egg from Pokemon Ranger and then you traded it.
Yeah, it's a crossover one.
It was just like really weird. It was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the one where it started to blur the lines between like mythical being like legendary big legends to just being like, oh, this Pokemon's really rare.
Yeah.
You can only get it through an event. So it started to blur the lines between like, I guess too many in a way. Legendaries.
Yeah, I think that was one thing that's kind of like put Gen 4 down was just like
oversaturation. It's like
over too many legendaries and mythicals.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. The starters, like, I always find it hard. Like, I really like Empoleon.
Yeah.
I really like Empoleon, but I really love, like, I did at the time when I first tried it and stuff, I didn't like Chimchar, but then, like, over the years, I really began to appreciate Chimchar more. Monkey and Infernape's phenomenal, and then Torterra.
I think Torterra's my favourite star. Yeah.
He's there, look at him.
I always
look at his nose.
I never decided what my favourite star was, but I think it's actually Torterra.
Yeah.
That line. Like the fact he's a world turtle.
Yeah, it's hilarious. And they're all based on, like, obviously, like, Poseidon. Empoleon's based on Poseidon.
No, Poseidon's based on Empoleon. He first.
What, you just, like, look back at, like, history and there's just, like, a penguin with, like, a trident on his face. It's like,
I like his style.
Poseidon?
It's like you.
And then Torterra's based on Gaia.
Yeah.
And then Infernape's based on Sun Wukong.
Yeah. Stick.
They should have made him, like, Firefly in.
He really should.
And he's just on, like, a
Why
cloud.
does he do that for a Mega? He's just a cloud just whizzing about. Surfing it.
That's too vivid.
But yeah, I don't know. It's Gen 4's again. I think it's just after the boom of Gens 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Pokemon did start to feel weird. I think obviously because we started to get older.
Yeah.
The games were still good, if not better.
But we just kind of like
the feeling around them wasn't as impactful. But Gen 4 we loved. We loved the underground bit, the multiplayer. That was a really cool idea.
Yeah, the underground was like phenomenal.
The multiplayer like aspect of the game started getting more better as the more things you introduce, sort of thing, as opposed to just battling and trading.
Oh, where would you put it then?
I don't know if to put it in front or behind Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of them I could put in like Elite 4 level, but I think that'll get filled up really easy.
Yeah, it's going to be like, on the edge in a minute.
That's why I made the middle one still kind of great.
Yeah, I think
mediocre.
Gen, like for Diamond and Pearl specifically, I think it's ahead of Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah.
Just in terms of the story and like the Ruby and Sapphire story was great and stuff.
It had day and night as well.
Oh yeah, it did have day and night. So it actually had lots of and morning.
Yeah, it had like sunset and stuff.
Sunset.
Andrew, knock Ruby Sapphire out of the way. In the bin. We should just like a bin in the corner and just like delete. We'll do that for other tiers where it's just like things are really shit.
Okay. So I think it's there. However, I'm going to put that in capitals. However, Platinum, that's up there. Like
without even getting into it, I think it's Arceus.
Yeah, I think it's Arceus tier. I'm just going to put it there now.
Just put it in Arceus tier, ready?
Right, it's already there. Okay, right. So, Platinum, right? Because we got that babe of a dragon that you found in the post game, Giratina, and everyone's like, oh, it's the third version. But why is it the third version? We'll tell you. Not the third version, the third legendary. But we'll tell you why it's the third legendary. Because Arceus was just like, oh, had some babies. And they created time and space, and then out of it, he was just like, but father, I wanna make nothing. I wanna kill everything. And Arceus was like, I know. Put you down the toilet. And then he went into a toilet, and like the other world was like toilet for Giratina. What was the other world called?
Is it Distortion?
Yeah, Distortion world. That was really weird. Like,
it was literally Distortion.
It was literally Distortion, and
like...
you like ran around and like you flipped up, and you had to do this like massive puzzle. I really liked it. It was like really confusing, but I liked it. It was something like completely different.
Yeah, because it's just a new legendary. It's like a new area.
Yeah. And then you had to go down, you had to catch it.
Sorry, in Down Village is in a cave.
Yeah, he's just in the that ruin, and you had to follow the puzzle.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, here I am, wee. But no, it's
and then like when you actually come out of it, when you catch Giratina or you beat Giratina, he's like, oh, he's in those ruins that were linked to in Diamond and Pearl, so it all makes sense.
Yeah. Because
it was like the same world, but obviously it was distorted, so you'd come out at different points depending on where you were, but there was only 2 points.
Well,
but Cyrus, basically, 28-year-old Cyrus, even though he looks about 70.
Yeah, he's about 58.
He did this speech in that game, and Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's very
dark. He's basically saying, well, I don't give a shit about any of you, I just want this world and I want you all to die. It's like, oh, okay, thanks, Cyrus.
How very dictatorial.
And that's the first game where they introduced Looker as well.
No, God, yeah. I don't mind Looker, but...
Yeah, I don't mind him, but
he's usually attached to annoying side quests.
Yeah. But that because it was the first one he was introduced in, like, he was fine.
Yeah.
But, like, there was just, like, a few other changes. Obviously, like, it made it more wintry.
Yeah, the seasons were sort of... Well, they weren't back. Gen 3 did. No, they weren't.
No.
It was the areas, the areas I'm thinking.
But like Gen 4, like the idea was that Sinnoh is in the north and it's very
because it's a big mountain,
mountainous and snowy. But it didn't really show that in Diamond and Pearl. But then when you got to Platinum, like the characters were actually dressed in warmer clothing and there was snow everywhere. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, yeah.
But there was like a lot of nice changes to it, and just story-wise, I think it puts a Arceus tier.
Yeah, definitely.
Because it's just like, it's so good. Platinum's just like one of my favourite games in the series. It's just like,
it's fantastic.
Story just like...
This is the thing we miss. We'll go about it when we go on to the next like generation, but it was the last third game.
That's true, isn't it?
Unfortunately.
I've never really thought about that.
Which is a model in a way that is a bit rip-offy.
Yeah.
But compared to what they did later, it was a good way of doing it, I thought.
Yeah.
If they're going to like bring out sequels sort of thing. But yeah. And now it's the ones going in Arceus tier. What's after it? It's Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Andrew. This instantly.
Yeah, let's go up in Arceus tier. Sorry.
This front of Arceus tier to me.
Oh yeah, I haven't been changing the top one ever.
I think.
Yeah. So where would you put Platinum? Would you put it above Crystal and Gold and Silver?
I put it above Gold and... It's going to annoy you now to put the ordering. Above Gold and Silver, but under Crystal.
Okay, and then this is above Crystal?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
It's Hot Gold and Soul Silver were like... Say remix of Gold and Silver.
Yeah, the remix are good, but they really went all out on it.
Oh, they did. It was Gen 4 graphics, but also the first thing you notice straight away is you can have your Pokemon 40.
Yeah, that's just that.
Any Pokemon 40 that was in the gen.
Yeah, I love the Pokemon following you because they introduced this like device that came with the game called the Pokewalker.
Yeah, the Pokemon.
And we were obsessed with it. We're like, oh, let's go take our Pokemon for a walk, and we'd walk all the way to like a castle to go and just like take them for a walk. And we're like, oh, look at this.
It was the Pokemon Go before Pokemon Go.
Yeah. But I really loved it. Just visually, it was stunning. Like they added.
It really made the Johto look beautiful.
Yeah, it did because Johto was very historical. Like whereas Kanto was more like war torn.
Yeah, I guess.
It was very empty and just, it wasn't empty.
It was just a bit barren,
like,
wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just like okay, it's like there's no real like distinguishing features of Kanto.
No,
whereas
just
like,
sort of like forest, city,
forest city, town, yeah.
It don't have its own identity really.
No, but then like you had stuff like Equitique City, which was full of the two towers
the pagodas and stuff,
and like it felt very authentic to the region. And then it just made it look stunning. And then obviously said that Pokemon followed you. You could catch like basically any legendary in there as well.
Yeah, like post game you had like all.
They added the Safari Zone into it, which was they had basically took Gold and Silver and anything that was missing from Gold and Silver they added back in.
They expanded on Kanto. Obviously that was like crammed into Gold and Silver, so you could just add more stuff and flesh it out more.
And then you could like re-battle gym leaders. Like you had to like get their phone numbers and then you'd call them.
Yeah,
and then, like, you had to call
get
them.
their phone numbers. That was a good idea.
You had to call them at certain
concept.
times and stuff, like you could battle them, which was really cool.
And again, the day and night thing was improved because it had like diamond and pearls, like day and night, like gradual sort of thing. Which was really interesting. It's just I don't know what else to say about it. It's basically everything good we've said about Gold and Silver and Crystal.
And more.
And more out now. Yeah, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
It was like probably the best remake of a game ever.
Yeah, I think it was the best one that they've ever done.
Till Gen 4. I know, I'm completely just like skipped over the remakes of Ruby and Sapphire. We'll get to those.
Yeah, but they're in Gen 6, that's why we haven't done it.
I know, but I like when until Gen 4, and just like Gen 3 in the middle that they've already done. But yeah, it's just amazing. I can't think of any negatives really.
No, I can't think of any negatives.
That's why
where they advanced on the story, and then there was like events like where you found out that like why Giovanni never turned up, and then you found out.
Yeah,
like,
they filled in backstories and stuff.
And like Silver felt more expanded, and I really like Silver as a rival. Like a lot of people don't like him, but I think he has probably one of the best arcs.
Yeah.
As a rival, because he starts off and you don't know why he just like he's so hateful towards Pokemon and why he just hates you so much and stuff, and why he hates Team Rocket. And then you find out that he's Giovanni's son, and then he kind of like it's not like he likes you, but he grows with like a strong respect for you and stuff, and it's like it's a really cool arc. And I feel like Gold and Silver showcased that, but then Heart Gold and Soul Silver really put that across. And then after you complete the game, you can fight with him against Lance and Claire, which is really cool.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about it. It was just...
It's beautiful.
Perfect. As close to perfect as you can get.
Top notch.
Then we had a...
Black and white.
Black and white. This was still on the DS at this point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the last one on the DS. It's very controversial, but I...
It was controversial. I can't believe they killed that guy in it.
I really liked Black and White.
So Black and White was weird because it was
very different.
It was 3D, kind of,
yeah,
with pixel art. But the environments were actually were 3D graphics now, starting to be, weren't they?
The battles were fantastic. The sprites were fully animated. They weren't just like a small animation and then they stopped and they stood still. They were constantly moving, and it was like the amount of detail. But I'm trying to think how many there were by that point. Because I know it was like 493 when Gen 4 came out.
Yeah. So another 150 on top of that.
Yeah. Because like it was completely new. Like, and I really love that. That's what I like about Generations, is like I don't use old, unless it's an old Pokemon that rolls into a new one.
Yeah.
I don't use those on my team. I use the Pokemon from that generation. And that was just full of new Pokemon for me to try out, and it was just like, I really liked it. There was a few things that I didn't like about it, but like at the time, like, because when I saw Oshawott, I was like, oh my god, I wanted an auto Pokemon for a really long time. I'm really happy with it. But when I saw Samurott at the time, I really just didn't like Samurott.
Yeah, it's too drastic a change.
It's too drastic of a change. But now I really appreciate Samurott.
I appreciate you, Samurott.
I appreciate it. But I always thought, because like in the front of its arms, it's got two swords, and like they showed a piece of artwork where it was stood in like a battle stance.
Yeah.
where it had the sword out and it looked really cool. And I was like, well, why didn't you animate it like
Didn't
that?
translate into the game, did it?
But there were so many cool Pokemon. There was like Excadrill, there was Chandelure, there was Golurk, there was Galvantula, Escavalier, Crocodile, Darmanitan. It was just it was a fantastic game, but I didn't like Unova. I didn't like the region either. It just didn't. It just like because it was based on New York. That was the whole point. It was based on New York State, but it's not even the fact that it's based on.
But the thing about that is, apart from New York City and the like immediate areas around that, it didn't.
It was all about. I can't remember what the ideal behind it was. It was like one was like truth and the other was something else. It was something like that. I can't remember what they were now. It was all about yin and yang.
Yeah. But the X is like sort of like humanity's impact on nature and Pokemon, because that's the story. To me, that was the best thing about it. It had probably one of the best stories.
Yeah, it definitely had the best story. Like how Zekrom and Reshiram were brought into it was fantastic, and the league was different because you went in the league, but then the story continued while you were in the league. It didn't just end before the league.
Yeah, it's like part of it, wasn't it?
Which was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Like N's whole character was interesting. I don't know where to put it though.
I'd put it in Elite Four tier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably say under the others, but I'd put it in Elite Four tier.
Yeah, I'd put it in good Pika.
Oh, would you?
Because I wasn't a massive fan of it.
No.
Well, I'm willing to, like.
Where would you put it though in a good Pika ramp?
To me, Diamond Pill was better.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I think between Diamond and Pearl and
that's just my personal taste. Like
I think, like thinking about it, yeah, I'd probably agree. Because then I just remembered what comes next. So, so I think like we keep shoving Ruby and Sapphire down, but
yeah,
I think because there was the Ruby and Sapphire was just a lot that wasn't. It didn't feel complete, sort of thing, as compared to Emerald. So I think that looks good.
Yeah. See, it starts getting hard, like.
Yeah. Now then.
Black and White 2, Andrew.
Yeah, though this was interesting because it was a sequel to Black and White.
Now, my opinion's going to be really weird on this because I don't remember a lot about Black and White 2.
I do, because I just recently played it. But
that's a lot of the stuff I remember is when I saw you playing it.
Yeah. I feel like it was interesting because they did a sequel. It wasn't the third version because everyone was expecting grey, black, white, and grey.
Well, it's the first one where he didn't do a third.
Yeah.
From this point onwards.
And it was a good idea and stuff, and like they introduced like so many things to it. There was like new areas to the region and stuff, but it was still Unova at heart, and I just didn't connect with Unova.
So it's rubbish then. I'm just desperate to put something in the worst just to see what people would say. I don't think it's quite that bad.
No, I think it's not quite a Feebas.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I mean, the fact that I have no strong memories of Black and White 2.
No, what are you doing? Slag.
Andrew, it's not that bad. Well, actually, it is.
There was like a few things. Like there was a few things in it that were interesting. They introduced like a feature. I didn't really utilize it until like more when I played it through again a second time. And that was the PokéStar Studio.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That's so random.
It was
what was that for?
You just saved money and stuff.
Was it money? Okay.
Yeah, you just like made movies with your Pokemon.
Yeah,
it was really random.
It's really random.
And like I said, they introduced some more Pokemon to the region. They introduced new areas, which were cool, but the new areas were really far between. Like it was like the first area you started in was like a new town that was built two years after or something.
Yeah.
But then it was like it was like a line, wasn't it? It was like the new city, and then there was Verbank, and then there was like a farm there was like a little town with a farm.
Verbank, that's based on Burbank, is it? Is that in California?
Yeah.
Oh, bad name.
But then like you go over to Castelia City, and then like the first half of Black and White is completely locked off to you until you complete the game.
Yeah.
And there was like weird, and then like you go around and you follow the path around. Because the thing about like, even with most Pokemon games, they're linear, you go a specific way and stuff. But you felt like you could go off and explore, whereas in Black and White, it didn't feel like you could go off and explore.
No.
You were very forced down a path and stuff.
Yeah, I did that.
But Black and White 2 did open it a little bit in certain areas, and you could get like Volcarona really early on.
Yeah. I remember that.
Because you had one in your team.
Yeah, it did. It's really good.
But then there was stuff like it just forced you down a specific path, and then they gave you the World Tournament, which was really interesting.
Yeah,
because
fight like old.
Yeah, you could fight all the gym leaders and gym leaders.
Gym leaders.
You could do that, but again, I didn't really utilize that much. And then you just followed it around, and then the whole like north part of it was completely blocked off, so you had to go another way. You couldn't go through Twist Mountain until post game. There was like a town that you just couldn't reach until the post game, and there wasn't really anything there apart from the Dragon Spiral Tower.
Yeah.
And it was just there sort of thing, and it was just like it felt very like you were forced down a specific way, and it wasn't natural.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was just, and then there was stuff like you couldn't get certain Pokemon in the game, but you could get their evolution.
Yeah, that was weird.
You could get.
I always found that weird.
You can catch a Zeb Striker, but you couldn't catch a Blitzel. It was like, well, why can't I catch a Blitzel?
Did that a lot later on as well.
Yeah, and it annoys me. And it's just like, well, technically, if there's a Zeb Striker.
Nothing wrong with catching evolution, but at least make the other one available to catch like first or something.
Yeah.
So he just gets stupid then.
Because then you have to go and breed it for the other one, and you try to complete the dex. And you're like, no, I'm alright, thanks.
So yeah, I don't know.
I'd say it's not quite a Feebas because it was good, but it wasn't.
I'd pretty much say it's identical to Black and White.
Yeah.
But the story's not as impactful.
Yeah, the story is not as impactful.
I don't know. I just don't like the whole sequel thing. I like the idea of games set like years later.
Yeah.
And make it like a third game. The fact that it was the first game where they did 2 versions again was like, oh, you just really are money grabbing at this point.
Yeah.
Because you could have just done Grey and it would have been the same.
It would have probably been better.
Yeah. Because it made you feel less
Guess
better.
we'll never know.
Having to. But yeah. But now, well, not quite a feedback. Andrew, it's our favourite gem.
Oh, fucking hell. Right. I feel very conflicted with Gen 6.
So do I, but like, I want to put it in rubbish.
I feel very conflicted.
Even though I know technically, I don't think it is. It's not rubbish though.
It's not.
So,
not quite a feedback.
Me personally, this is probably. I don't know. I don't think I even hate it as much as Black and White 2. We're probably ahead of Black and White 2.
Yeah, I'd say it's ahead of Black and White 2.
Which is annoying me because I want to put it in rubbish. But I don't know why. I think. Do you know what it is? I think it's the dex. The biggest sticking point is the new Pokemon.
My thing with Gen 6 is like, because I've recently been playing it. If you've been following my channel, then you'll know that I've been doing a Steel type series.
Yes. Watch it.
Through Pokemon X, and there's like a few things that like I noticed like now, and even when I played it back in the day and stuff, there's a few things like that I just didn't grip me with X and Y.
Yeah.
Hello.
Xerneas coming through the door like, what?
It started off really kind of well, and it felt really kind of open. And it was like, wow, this is really open.
It's the first fully 3D Pokemon game.
You do the first gym, and then like it takes you like forever to get to the second gym.
Yeah.
But then after you've done the second gym, it's just like bam, 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 for like 6 gyms or whatever, or 5 gyms, and then after that, it's just like, oh, okay, well, I'll do the plot, and then I'll do the 8th gym. But it was really weirdly paced. The Pokemon in it, like the new Pokemon in it, were fantastic. I love a lot of the Gen 6 Pokemon.
I do like the Pokemon themselves. I think it's just the number of them.
Yeah, there's just not enough of them.
That's my sticking point.
There's just not enough of them. And this is going back to what we said earlier.
I was going back to your previous point.
About Kanto. There was more Kanto Pokemon in the game than there was.
It was like a full dex, it felt like.
It pretty much was the full dex. So the only Pokemon...
You put Mewtwo in it.
Yeah, and the legendary birds. There was no trio in... There was like the Aura trio, which were Xerneas, Zygarde, and Yveltal, but there was no like in-game trio. And then they put like stuff in like the Sea Serpent's Den.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest sticking point with me, was there was never a third or sequel game to it, which would have fleshed out the things that you didn't add, and it was lots of like unused stuff.
in the game. Like, it was just a random cave somewhere.
Yeah.
Not the season. There was another one as well where it was like.
Yeah, there was like weird Pokemon.
I couldn't tell if it was meant to be for an event or something. But
yeah, they just there was all these caves in it, and you felt like, oh wow, they're gonna go off and explore, and they were just a cave, only one room of a cave, and that was it. It was just like even like where Mewtwo was in the Pokemon Village. Yeah. It said like that was the what was it called? I was gonna say mystery dungeon, but it's unknown dungeon.
Unknown dungeon. Yeah.
It was called the unknown dungeon, and it was just one room, and it's just like okay, well,
on the pedestal. It's like okay.
Okay, so there you go. That's all the Pokemon that weren't in from Kanto.
Oh my god.
Rattata, Raticate, Meowth, Persian, Coughing, Wheezing, Porygon, and Mew. That was it.
All the others were.
And then like, it was stuff like Megas.
Oh, Mega Evolution. Put it in the bin, Andrew.
I don't like Mega Evolution. Like I've said this a lot on my channel, and like people probably think, oh, why does something like Mega Evolution? I like the designs of some of them, not all of them. I love the designs of some of them. They're really cool, but you can tell that because of the way they were doing it originally, they were like, okay, this is clearly an evolution of the Pokemon.
Like I thought Gen 4 did. It gave like loads of old Pokemon like new evolutions, which would have been, if he'd done it in Gen 6, it would have been Megas basically.
Yeah.
But basically because he did them as Megas, it took them out of the equation of ever being like actual evolutions or like permanent ones. So then it's like, oh.
It's like, look at Mega Bayonet. Mega Bayonet looks...
I know you love Mega Bayonet.
I do love a bit of Mega Bayonet. But then they gave it to stuff like Blaziken, but then Swampert and...
Like all the stars as part from a few, and then it's like...
So it's like, why? Why did you do that? Why did you give it to Blaziken out of all the Pokemon you could have given it to?
Yeah, why Swampert got one later?
He did, and he was a bait. He was a hench bait.
Oh god, I can't lift myself up.
It's stuff like... What?
Andrew's no time for that, and he's Gen 6.
But then you have like the Kalos starters, and then the Gen 1 starters had Megas, but then the Gen 6 didn't. Like no Gen 6 Pokemon had Megas, and their reasoning was, and this really pissed me off, was because they were like, oh, we don't want to take away from the evolutions of the starters and stuff.
Well, you're already doing that.
You're already doing that. You're taking away, you're making people use older Pokemon. You're supposed to be promoting the new generation. You've got more Pokemon from Kanto than you had for Kalos. So that's why it's low for me.
I like, as you'll be ranting now, just like sliding down the list. It's a big pile.
And the story wasn't great either.
No,
and you know what really, right, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
It's fine, go on. Rant away.
I love Norse mythology.
He does, it's true.
And I absolutely love Norse mythology. And the Aura Trio were based on Norse mythology, and it just was never expanded upon. Like there was like a DS and it looked really cool. Do you remember? It was it was like in Norse artwork, like it showed like Xerneas, Yveltal, and then like the starters, and it showed like Yggdrasil on it and stuff. And that's the whole thing that like it was like Xerneas was like the deer that roamed around the roots at the base of Yggdrasil.
It's sort of like the life tree, wasn't it?
Even in like it's like cocoon form, it was the tree of life. And then Yveltal was like the bird that sit in the eagle that sat in the branches, and then Zygarde was the snake eating the roots. Yeah. And it was just like, oh, that's really cool. That's a really cool thing. But they just didn't expand on it. It was just like you went to the like this base, and like they suddenly had the legendary.
And he gave just some like quick explanation to like the lore behind it.
And it was just like, well, where did that come from? Where did you get it? Why couldn't we have gone to that place where you found it? So why was it, it was like, I wanted to know where they're going. Like you in Gen 3 and 4 and stuff, you saw Kyogre, Groudon, Palkia, Giratina, Dialga, whatever, and they were in their environment, and then they got woken up sort of thing. Whereas this, they were just like, they'd already had it.
It's like they missed out a big bit.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, why did you do that?
Team Flare was shit as well.
Yeah, I didn't like Team Flare. Team Flare, they're just all in orange, so it's just like, what, you're in orange?
You just didn't care. You just didn't feel like they were a threat. Even when they had something that could like end all life, you just like, eh.
And even then, it was just like, oh, I'm going to make you live forever if you had X. Yeah, it just didn't make any sense. Okay. And then I think Lysander actually died. It was never confirmed.
Yeah, I think he was like the only one who died.
He just like, even in the anime, I think he died. He got crushed.
I remember you showed me that.
In the anime, the actual like X and Y saga with Zygarde and stuff was actually really cool.
Yeah, because actually expanded on it. That's the thing. That's the annoying thing. He did X and Y, and then that was the only Gen. That was the only like Gen 6 sort of generation game he did. He was like, what?
Because they started in. They were like, oh look, Ash Greninja, and then they were like, oh look, Zygarde.
I hate that.
I know, I did too.
I hate it so much. Go on.
And then they were like, oh look, Zygarde's got all these different forms, like based on Fenrir and Jormungandr.
A little tiny cell.
Yeah, and the little baby. But then that was introduced into Gen 7 because they wanted. I get why they did it, because they wanted Gen 7 to come out on the 20th, like in the year of the 20th anniversary.
Know,
but it just like I wanted to see what they wanted to do with like Zygarde, and it just didn't feel complete.
It becomes an increasingly popular theme in the Pokemon games that we're trying to reach the deadline for release. Makes the overall game suffer. We'll get to one of those later. So yeah, but then instead of a sequel to X and Y, we had a Gen 3 remake.
Big Ruby Sapphire. I don't know.
Big Ruby Sapphire, that's what I heard.
Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire.
Yeah.
I love these.
They were great.
They were fantastic.
They did Ruby and Sapphire better than Ruby and Sapphire did. But then again, we did have hindsight at that point.
Yeah.
Like, we appreciate Ruby and Sapphire more now. And I think by this point we were like, oh yeah, Ruby and Sapphire again. Was obviously the Emerald stuff in, kind of. And have all the Emerald stuff in, and that which I think would drag this down.
Yeah.
Because didn't have the Battle Frontier.
Didn't have the Battle Frontier.
Even put something in to try
yeah, that really pissed me off. It's like,
oh, we wanted to, but we didn't have time. It's like,
and then they put like a little statue in it.
Yeah,
at the
this
end,
looks like coming soon. It's like, well, you're not coming soon because you're not going to do a sequel to a remake, are you? You bastards.
I thought they were going to patch it in eventually, and they just didn't. Because like what didn't make sense was just like in Kalos, once you beat the game, you go to Killud City and stuff. I mean, that was something we didn't talk about. Like AZ and stuff. That whole plot point was just like
it's just bullshit.
It was just like, well, where did that come from? And it just ended, and it was just like, oh, okay. And then it's like, oh, Floette, you're alive.
No, I can't wait till we get to the bias review on that.
But like at the end of that, you go to Killud City. It has the battle maze on, which makes sense because it's France.
Yeah, the maison.
Battle Maison. And then in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, instead of the Battle Frontier, we had the Battle Maison.
Like, okay, that's the same thing again.
It's the same thing with the same leaders and stuff. You could have at least put in the Battle Tower, which was in the original.
Yeah, just a tower on the island, because there's that post-game island. Like all the really strong trainers.
Oh, one thing that I really liked about like Oras was the
Oras
flying around on
Latios. Oh, you can literally fly. Yeah, manual fly.
So good.
It's just the little things. Well, it wasn't little things, like a big thing. But...
And then you could like find like hidden grottos and stuff.
Yeah,
hidden
little
islands.
areas. You just like exploring.
You could land on routes, which was really cool. I mean, you could fly to routes anyway with normal flying and stuff, but it felt really cool, and the music was just like so iconic.
It's the manual exploration with things that used to be HMs. Obviously, we'll get to later, but the things I miss most in newer games is the exploration side of things.
Yeah, I do too.
It's so good. And it was just like Emerald Story sort of thing.
It was Ruby and Sapphire's story, but then they added on the
Rayquaza. Oh yeah, they had their own extra episode at the end.
Yeah.
With for the first time ever, in-game mythical with Deoxys.
Yeah, you could like catch Deoxys without an event.
Story, which was really awesome.
I loved that post-game story. It was so good. Like the meteors coming crashing down, and it was just like
that's my favourite post-game.
I know, it's just like it's really creepy.
It was really intense.
It's like,
yeah, because they did just take like the stuff that had only been like event stuff. And like incorporated with the Rayquaza.
And it kind of linked it to that movie, didn't it?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Similar. Yeah, because Rayquaza has always been like the defender, and then Deoxys has been like this outside alien.
Yeah, and Deoxys was going to come down and kill everything.
Yeah.
And then, like, what I really appreciated during that cutscene, like, I don't think I really noticed when I was younger, when I first played Oras, but like when I replayed it for the Ghost Mono series, like Deoxys, when it appears as that triangle, it moves in the way of the puzzle.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
It's the exact same puzzle.
Ding,
like,
ding, ding. Yeah,
and he was just like flying around in space, and you were like fighting in space, and it was just so good.
So epic. Where would you put it, Andrew? Is it above Emerald?
It's above Emerald.
Yeah.
Is
it Arceus tier? Is it like behind Gold and Silver, do you reckon?
Yes.
Because it's technically the best Gen 3 games, isn't it?
Yeah.
I reckon.
I think it's there. And the only reason it brings it down slightly is because, like you said, the Battle Frontier, it didn't have... The one thing they could have done was that even if it wasn't Emerald, they could have had the Emerald teams in it to give it that much more of a challenge. Yeah. But they didn't. like Liza and Tate just had Solrock and Lunatone again, and it was just like, okay, well, I don't care.
Yeah.
And it had Megas in it that I just didn't really care.
Yeah, more Megas, and we were like, oh,
and the Pokemon they gave them to just didn't make any sense.
It was some of the worst Megas ever.
Except for Swampert.
Yeah, Swampert.
Genius. But then you had like Ordino, and it was just like, well, why is Ordino get one? And then Diancie, and it was just like, well, you didn't give Mega in X and Y, but you give it to it in.
I know it's
Oras.
It was like they were treating these like the X and Y sequel sort of thing with the Megas and stuff. It's like.
And then like out of all the Gen 5 Pokemon you can fucking give in a Mega to, you give it to Ordino. So why?
It's like a worse Chansey. It doesn't even evolve, but yeah.
But I think that's a good place to put it.
Yeah, I reckon. I think it just creeps into the top tier.
Yeah, I think it just like there's a lot of cool stuff in it. Like it advanced on like Brendan and Maya's characters as well. You saw like they were more developed, and then it had obviously all the mechanics of like Gen 6. It was visually stunning. Like Hoenn looked beautiful. You could fly around Hoenn. Like there was the whole thing with like all the Hooper doors and stuff.
Yeah, it tied into that sort of mythical event, didn't it? That movie,
which was really interesting. But then you couldn't get Hooper in the game. But then you could like fight like Raikou, Suicune, and Entei, like all these different legendaries, and you could catch them. And like they had like their original music, which was really cool.
Yeah.
I love it, but I don't love it as much as like.
No, it's not up there.
No,
just in there.
It's just in the top.
Then we reached Gen 7. I remember when we were did we just one we were bought together and then we were like, oh, here you go.
We didn't
know which one to have.
We didn't know which one to have because we didn't really look into anything about it. Especially because in like Gen 4 we did. Gen 5 it was forced upon us because like everything just leaked.
Yeah.
And everyone got in trouble for it. Yeah. Then in Gen 6, like they showed a lot of it before the game released. And they did with Gen 7 as well.
We didn't know at this point before. Oh, there's still a lot of stuff we don't know.
Yeah, and then in Gen 7 they did as well. They showed like a shit ton of stuff, but we didn't know.
That was just in trailers.
Yeah, and we were just like, we don't know what's version exclusive. They haven't said.
Yeah.
And
so we just flipped a coin.
Yeah, I looked on Siri and it was like, oh, heads or tails, and it was like it landed on its side. I was off.
It's like, come on, Siri, work with me here. Pain in the ass.
I really like I love Alola. I think Alola is
I think as a region, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think Alola is a fantastic region. There's a lot of cool Pokemon in it.
Yeah, I like a lot of the new Pokemon.
There's a few in there that there's always a few in each region that
you're not gonna like all of
them. But again, wasn't enough new Pokemon.
How many new Pokemon was there? More than X and Y, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was more than X and Y. X and Y was 72.
Yeah, it was in the 70s.
And that was included, but outside of like the events, it was 69. But a lot of the new Pokemon in Sun and Moon were Ultra Beasts, so that was just like not about this life.
I mean, I wasn't super into Ultra Beasts. I know you hated them.
I didn't really hate them. I just like
despised them. I wish they'd die. You wish they'd go back to where they came from.
I just like they were too far out there.
Yeah, the designs were really.
They were just.
I mean,
really,
I get it.
I get the idea behind it. It was all about dimensions and stuff and linking dimensions.
I think I said on Nathan's stream when he was talking about Ultra Beasts, he wasn't a fan, and he was saying like, "Oh, the off-world thing was pretty cool." It's like, yeah, imagine like you weren't even Pokemon, like because technically they probably not.
Yeah.
Well, like, what if they're just like humanoids from another world and you're just there catching them?
Yeah.
First thing you see is a kid throwing a ball over some new planet.
And there was just like they were interesting design-wise, and they did have a lot of lore behind them, which was really cool.
Yeah.
But they just didn't fit with the theme.
I think it's because they felt like legendaries, but they're very bizarre. And
the way that like the story like showed it though was like it felt like they weren't gonna be catchable.
Yeah. Well, I guess you can't really do that in a Pokemon game if you introduce new creatures.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
so
like
the hands were tied a bit.
But can we talk about our boy?
Which one?
Decidueye.
We can talk about Rowlet, yeah.
Yeah, Rowlet. Well, you can see his wing here. Well, yeah. Rowlet. I think we both like because Dan's usually the person that goes for the grass.
I always thought of grass usually, and I did.
He was very disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I'm going to get Rowlet. Because I love Rowlet. And then even better, it was a ghost type, and I love ghost type. So
yeah,
I was just like...
Ghost was cool.
Like, the designs of the Pokemon were just, like, fantastic. For a lot of the Pokemon, they were fantastic. Yeah, Bruxish.
Oh my god, that was, intense.
But then when you actually look up what Bruxish is based on...
I know, a lot of these stupid designs are all based on real things, which makes it even stupider.
And there was a couple of things in there. I didn't really like the fishing mechanic. There was just like specific spots that you had to fish in. You couldn't just fish anywhere.
Yeah.
You never really went you never went on the sea.
No.
Like to surf around and stuff. Like there was just like certain little bits you could like surf around on. But that was another cool thing, was the ride pager.
Yeah, so this first one with the HMs were like out of it completely.
Yeah.
So instead of HMs, you'd have sort of like rideable Pokemon.
Yeah, and I thought it was a really cool feature.
It was really cool. Especially like Tauros and stuff, you could just like ride around on it everywhere.
Yeah. Instead of a bike, you didn't get a bike.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's all like natural Hawaii sort of thing.
It was really cool. But then like in like the concept art and stuff, they must have just changed it. They had like a Blastoise on the back of a fire truck and stuff.
Yeah, because they wanted to like have like more like I think it's the first one, at that point, like Pokemon walking around in like amidst everything, instead of just stood there like in your town and stuff. They were like with people and trainers, and you'd see him playing with people. So it was like, it felt more lived in, like a lived in Pokemon world. But I think it, like you said, with like surfing around, so it came at a cost of exploration. Like it limited like areas and stuff, even though it wasn't small.
No, it was really big because there was like 4 islands and stuff.
It just made it less.
I like the idea of the totem Pokemon.
Yeah, the totem Pokemon was really cool.
There was a thing about the like going back to like the exploration and stuff, was like they did make you like stay in certain areas, and it was just like, oh, you can't get past this area until you've done this trial sort of thing. And you're like, well, I want to go off and explore. I
think that was the main thing that divided people as well, was having trials instead of gyms, because it differentiated.
Yeah, and the trials were different. They weren't always a battle.
It was sort of practical, like doing certain tasks and stuff.
Some of them were really hard as well. They weren't easy.
I actually really appreciate the fact that they did something different.
Yeah, I do too. I think it was different. I love that. I actually love both legendaries in that game, like the box legendaries. I think they're fantastically designed. It really. Hello. That was Solgaleo.
It's the box legendaries.
It's got like Vuvuzela like
the window.
Harry, stop it. I think I like the story of Sun and Moon, for the fact that like you could tell instantly, like when they showed the trailer, that like the Aether Foundation weren't what they seemed and stuff. Yeah, they were too nice. Yeah, you are. And you had like Team Skull. I actually like Team Skull, but it's just like because they were just like they were just like thugs.
Yeah, they were just thugs.
But then you found out they were working for the Aether Foundation, and you found out that like their mom, what was she called, Lusamine, she was just like mental, and she was just like, she wanted her husband back.
It's the darkest Pokemon arc.
Yeah, and she like froze.
When they've done something like Gen 5, I think.
Yeah, she froze like all these Pokemon.
I think they did what bloody Gen 6 tried to do with its big story, make it all like life and death, but that just kind of fell really flat. Yeah, and this did it like a really dark twist.
And it was just like, and then she disappeared into the Ultra Space, and then like one of the Ultra Beasts like fused with her, and it like made it really creepy.
Yeah.
And I really like that about it. And they introduced for the first time regional variants.
Yeah. Which is something they'll probably just keep doing now.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
It's a good way. It's a good way to bring back old Pokemon in new regions.
Yeah.
But I'll also like freshen them up as well.
Yeah.
Because you get new types and stuff. It was annoying though, because of all the leaks, the only ones we didn't know about were Geodude.
Yeah, it was just like because they showed it all, and it was just like, well, why are you telling us all?
Yeah, people just like tell us everything.
No, that gen. So where would you put Sun and Moon?
Really difficult, isn't it? Because when you look at it on paper, you think like, why is Diamond Pearl below like Red and Blue and stuff? But it's different factors to take into account. Maybe above Black and White?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well.
Between Black and White and Diamond and Pearl, maybe?
Yeah. I do think it's there.
Yeah.
Like, I really love Diamond and Pearl, so.
Yeah.
and I really appreciate.
That's the one to get passed on the middle tier.
Yeah. Well, the next one's not going to.
Nope. Silly one. Well, no, it wouldn't.
Okay, Daniel.
So again,
Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon.
More sequels.
Well,
not sequels.
They went. Yeah, it was. With this one, it was actually a third version, but split into 2 games. It was all about Necrozma, and the stuff they added into it was really interesting. For like, you went to like the Megapolis, or what it was called.
Yeah, the storyline with Necrozma was cool because, yeah, they did what the third game does and have a third legendary and expand on their lore sort of thing. But I think personally it came at the expense of the Luzamine story arc.
Yeah,
it overshadowed her.
It was like you went to the Aether Foundation and you were like, oh, she's frozen the Pokemon, and then it was just never like talked about again. She disappeared into Ultra Space.
Yeah, it basically the Necrozma thing happened and it's like, oh, we'll just forget about all that bad shit she's just done.
And it didn't make any sense like for that aspect of it. And then they introduced Poipole. And I love Poipole and Naganadel.
Yeah, so more like Ultra Beasts that weren't like legendary. They were just like regular, like star.
And I really wanted to use a Poipole because it was like it looked really cool, and then it evolved into
like really late on, didn't it?
But you got it like after the main story arc, and it was just like, oh, I don't want to do that. Then you got like they introduced the fairy trial, but then it felt more tacked on than like it didn't feel natural.
Like right at the end, I was like, oh,
and I that stream, I was like, oh, I'm gonna get through the Pokemon League today. Oh, I've got to do the fairy trial and stuff. And there's all these things get happening.
Everybody comes through the door. First person.
AI UI design was a lot better.
Yeah,
it felt better overall. Like the game felt better, but with the story, it fell short because of what they did with Lusamine. And just like that just petered out, and it was just like, well, I want to know what happened.
Yeah.
They did introduce another post game to it though, which was interesting, which was the Team Rainbow Rocket.
Yeah, that was just a huge nostalgia nod, basically.
Yeah, it was like because they basically confirmed with Hooper that.
Was it like the timeline sort of thing?
It was
what
like
games are connected.
It was like there are multiple worlds. There's not just one, and that's why like in Ruby and Sapphire there's no megas, but in Oras there is because there's like 2 worlds of it. That's how they basically came about it.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be on like it's the same timeline.
So basically, the original games that weren't remakes still existed on their own timeline, basically. Yeah. So, which is an interesting way of doing it. They also did the surfing between things. Like
I love
so you still couldn't explore as much, but they had a mini game between islands where you could literally surf on
Mantine surf was fantastic though. Like the idea of just like surfing around in a Mantine was.
I reckon it's something you wanted to put in Sun and Moon, but just didn't have the time.
Yeah, it didn't have the time.
It just sums up the region, don't it? Surfing. Yeah. So cool.
I love Alola, like I said before. I love Alola as a region. It's a beautiful region. It's like it just feels lush. It feels vibrant. Got Crabominable.
Yeah.
And Crabrawler.
Never knew. Like, I think that's one we did you see the evolution of that?
No. We saw Crabrawler, but we didn't see Crabominable
a lot. And then I saw the evolution. I was like, oh my god, didn't expect that.
No, and it makes sense because like Crabrawler is a coconut crab, and they're massive, and then it goes into like a Yeti crab, which is even bigger. And it made so much sense, and I was just like, I loved Crabrawler and Crabominable. They weren't fast, and they were really sort of frail, but I really liked them. They were so good.
And you had the ultra wormhole things.
Oh yeah, like that's one thing that I did really like was like
cool.
You could like fly around in the ultra space on Solgaleo or Lunala.
Yeah, find all these like little areas that you could catch like Pokemon that had a really high chance of being shiny, so you sort of nerfed the shiny aspect of it.
Yeah, that's what they did in later generations. Shinies just became too easy to get, and it was just like, well, this kind of defeats the purpose.
And also the thing I didn't like, the last bit where you finally got to go to like the other world where Necros was from, it was just a tiny little area.
Yeah, you couldn't explore it.
I mean, you couldn't really do too much because the amount that you'd already fit on the game, but it was just like, oh, there's a big deal on it. You got to go to like another world.
And then like there was like all these weird areas you go to, fucking hell.
Yeah.
To catch Ultra Beast, like you had to like fly through specific wormholes, and you got through, and then like you had like it was just like you had to do like a specific puzzle to get through to the Ultra Beast, which was a really cool way of doing it. But then you had like And they were supposed to be like all these worlds that had been like destroyed by Ultra Beasts and stuff. And it was really, and like especially Guzzlord, it was like in a city or something, and the city was all like destroyed.
Yeah,
that was really creepy.
It's a world where like eating it consumed it, sort of thing. Crazy.
But then you had like Celesteela, and like you were like running up, and all of a sudden you saw one like take off.
Yeah, in the background.
I was like, what's that?
It was based on Furio.
Yeah, Moon Maiden.
Yeah, made of bamboo, just flying to the moon. I was like, okay, sure, fine.
See you later. And then you like approach one, and then all of a sudden it like popped out of the ground or something, and it was like there. So that was interesting. There was a lot of interesting things they introduced into it, but I think because of the way the story like completely ignored Lucamine's thing, that kind of brings it down to me. And it was outside of that, like you did get your starter earlier, which was good.
Yeah.
They did introduce some new. That was the first game where they introduced a new Pokemon mid-gen.
Yeah, they added more. They expanded the Dex mid-generation, didn't they?
Which was they've never done before.
How would you put it though?
I don't know. I was thinking about this.
Above Ruby and Sapphire? I think so.
I'd say it's above Ruby and Sapphire, but not above Black and White.
Okay. Who knows too?
Yeah.
Who with that?
Like Ruby and Sapphire.
Ruby and Sapphire just keeps getting demoted.
It's like flies.
Sapphires. Sorry, Sapphire. Stupid ass long 3DS games. What's your favourite next, Andrew? A little bit rubbish. Andrew, tell us what you just put in a little bit rubbish.
Let's go Pikachu, let's go Eevee.
But why did you put it
Don't
in a
like
little bit
it.
rubbish? But why?
But don't. Just don't. I
can't even like argue up because I haven't played it.
I can tell you why I don't like it. Like, because it's not even like part of it is because of the fact that the idea of it was, I get the idea behind it that it was trying to get Pokemon Go players to get Switch to cross over into when the next gen came out. But it was just annoying, the fact that you had to catch Pokemon in order to level up, and all your Pokemon got experience at the same time, which I prefer to train my Pokemon up individually. It was obviously another remake of Kanto.
Yeah.
And it was more that it was yellow than it was red and blue, because it was like you met red, you met blue, and blue was like just there, and it was like set after, like it was weird. It was like a sequel to it, but it was the exact same storyline.
Yeah.
It was really, the way they did it was really strange. It just didn't make any sense. The art style was really fucking weird.
Yeah.
For the actual characters and stuff.
Yeah. It was sort of like in between.
In
between
I mean, it looked
styles.
like Kanto looked beautiful and stuff. And you could see like the Pokemon running around.
Pokemon running around, that was cool.
That was cool, and you could have your Pokemon following you. So that's one thing I did like about it. But then like,
belly.
yeah, you could like sit in Kangaskhan's pouch. You could fly around on like Aerodactyl, Dragonite, and Charizard. But I just didn't, because of the way they did it. You could level up really quick, but then like when you got to like a new area, it was just like, for instance, when you got to Lavender Tower, Ghastly's were like level 36 and stuff. And it's just like, well, why are you such a high level? Like, I'm gonna be using one because obviously I love Gengar. That boy there.
Your boy.
There. That one. And there was interesting like story bits in it, and like instead of HM's Pikachu or Eevee got like the things to get you around.
Yeah.
But then it just made battles seem pointless.
Yeah, and the catching mechanic.
The catching mechanic, and then you could do it on 2-player, which was really weird.
Yeah.
And the battles were already easy enough because everything was really low level, and like you didn't get as much experience from battles as you did from catching a Pokemon, and you could get all these multipliers depending on what you did. So you could like, I turned like to level up near the end of the game and stuff. I turned both my Wiimotes on. Oh, not Wiimotes. What they call Joy-Cons. Put them in there, you know, like the original thing. And then you flicked it like that, and they'd both do that, and you'd always get a perfect capture. And you'd get like a lot of experience for doing it. And it just like, I tried to Let's Play it, and I just
remember that.
I did like 3 episodes, and I was just like, I can't be arsed with this.
Oh yeah, I can actually. Yeah.
And then like it took me like another like, and nearly took me like a year to finish it because I was just like couldn't do it. And then eventually I was like, okay, let's do this, and then I just did it. I just didn't like it that much. But then like if they did decide to do like a Let's Go Johto series, then I'd still play it because I love Johto and stuff, and I appreciated Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu for what they did, but it just wasn't for me personally.
I think it's suffered at the hands of being, well, let's tie in Pokemon Go aspects into a mainline Pokemon game.
It just didn't.
And because of that, it sort of took out aspects that made the original good sort of thing, like battling.
Like even though it was like you could have like battled the Pokemon, and then if you wanted to catch it, it would put you into the Pokemon Go mode.
Yeah,
that would have made more sense because there were certain battles where you could do that against like the legendaries and Snorlax.
Yeah,
you had to battle it first, and then it gave you a chance to catch it, and that's what it should have been, like for everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they just didn't. So
I can't even argue the point. All I can say is from what I've seen.
Yeah. And then they did like weird things like, there's a Magikarp master, or there's like a master for every Pokemon.
Every Pokemon.
And like Pokemon learned like really good moves straight away. Like Pidgey had Twister. They had all these like intense moves. I was like, okay, well I don't feel threatened right now.
Well, I feel threatened by
I feel threatened by the Pidgey.
Twister. Just like flying around in it, just not even controlling it. Yeah. So we're gonna put on a little bit trubbish.
Yeah.
So if I had an opinion and I liked it, we could have dragged it a bit, but I don't because I haven't played it. Yeah. So it's in the bin.
In the bin. Now then.
Current gen.
Gen 8.
Gen 8, Sword and Shield.
Swield.
At time of recording, we only have one part of DLC out.
Yeah.
So technically,
Isle of Armor. It could technically be moved up.
Frozen Tundra could knock this up, but we're ranking it as it currently stands with the first DLC on the main game.
I feel like
being sick. Me too.
Yeah.
Go on.
I do feel like being sick. Actually, I'm very nauseous right now. I feel like it's just barely gets into not quite Feebas. Because like I Galar, fantastic region. It really amplifies the fact that it is England.
Yeah, cheerio.
And like the language in it, like it's very. They did a lot of research into it.
Even if it mixes up a bit sometimes, but they've got the right idea.
The Pokemon in it, like they were fantastic. And they actually managed to keep it like most of them a secret from us.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of like not bloody.
They introduced the wild area, which is a really interesting concept, which was further advanced on in the Isle of Armor. I prefer the Isle of Armor.
Isle of Armor really, it made it a good job of it.
Yeah, but I feel like just like pointing at this low is kind of bad, but at the same time, it's like it deserves it. I feel I don't hate Gen 8. Like by no means do I hate Gen 8.
Thing is with us, a lot of people slammed the game before it came out for like stupid reasons, like mainly the National X.
And it's just like, well, we just use all new Pokemon anyway, so it didn't really.
We didn't care about that.
I didn't really give a shit.
I mean, we would have liked it, but we weren't that bothered. We weren't gonna like slam the game.
Yeah.
It's mainly after playing it.
Yeah, that's
especially end game.
Because go on.
I'll summarize it like this. Me personally, I enjoy the Pokemon games for sort of a single player experience with additional multiplayer stuff. So the RPG and like exploration story wise side of things, the game was alright to a point, and then it felt very rushed towards the end.
Yes, I agree.
Then it sort of ran out of things to flesh out the world. Like I didn't feel many reasons to return to towns aside from just like shopping.
Yeah.
And stuff.
There was like random little side quests.
There was loads of people, but you didn't feel like a lot of them didn't give you things to do, or like was, it didn't really add to anything. It was just there like set dressing. Well, they've always and like just little things like days of the week events, like I say, like old things from old games that were like staples and then aren't seemingly.
They could have done that
anymore.
So easily.
And like that make you feel like you need to play at a certain time or do certain things.
It was like the wild area had like weather and stuff. Like, imagine having swarm Pokemon in that. That would have been cool.
Yeah, I think it suffered mainly from like getting the game out on a certain day again, and the focus being on the wild area. And the wild area is very much a multiplayer game, like multiplayer like focused area.
But it's just too empty.
But that's what I mean. It's like you play mates and you do raids.
Yeah.
And then you catch high level Pokemon easier. like fully evolved. You have to train up for your team and stuff, and it's just like
it did a lot for the competitive.
And you throw loads of like new rare candies at you that you can level up things really quickly and like boost stats and stuff.
It's all to do with like the competitive and getting them ready for.
And I mean, like for people who are into competitive gaming, that's amazing. It's like perfect for them, but like. The single player aspect of the game really suffered as a result.
It was like raids were interesting, like it was cool to do it. You might find a Pokemon that you wouldn't normally find there. But sorry.
You're right.
Yeah. There was just like the wild area just felt empty. There was like 1 or 2 people walking around.
That's nothing. They didn't put one trainers in the wild area apart from a few token ones.
Yeah, it needed people out there. It's like, it's the wild area, why is there no one out there?
And 2 like rebattleable trainers and stuff. Like the whole it's this new thing that wild area, you want to make it feel like lived and exciting and like things to explore, and it was just like huge open areas.
And there was no caves or anything.
It was impressive, but like once you'd explored it was like, well, there's nothing else here.
Yeah, and then like the Pokemon, until you complete the game, the Pokemon didn't scale, but then once you complete the game, the Pokemon scaled to you, and it was just like, okay, well, I don't want that.
They all scaled to level 60.
They do all scale to level 60, so you found like a P-Dub at level 60, and I was like, well, why? Why would I want a level 60 P-Dub?
It just felt, that aspect felt really lazy.
And then there was like the experience share was always on.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, I don't...
Could you not turn it off?
Nope.
No.
It was really annoying, you couldn't turn it off. It was the same as Let's Go.
Played it not long ago.
And it was just like, okay, well, that's cool if you want to train up quick and stuff.
It should always be an option, though.
Yeah, it should always be an option, because I don't like using it.
Just give us the option.
I don't mind using it when I'm trying to complete the decks.
Which one were you turn it off and on? Was it Sun and Moon?
Gen...
There's one week like
6 and 7. But... but there was just like certain things that were just like... that just didn't make sense, like the scaling, and then there's like the story did... the story like started off and it was interesting, and it brought in all this lore about... all this lore about... like Zacian and Zadazenta. But it kind of suffered the same way X and Y did.
Yeah.
In that, like, all of a sudden there was just like this big threat at the end of it.
Yeah, and the Chairman Rose stuff just seemed... I mean, it was hinted at, but it wasn't developed.
Yeah.
It was just sort of like...
The way I saw it going was...
He's evil.
The way I saw it going was that I thought he was just the front man. Oleana?
I was going to call it Oceana. Oleana, yeah.
Oleana. I thought she was going to be like pulling the strings, and she'd done all
she was
this
the one
stuff.
who's sort of like bossing him around something, and he was sort of like the hapless, go-lucky boss. Sort of thing.
That would have been better, and I can understand his intentions, but at the same time, it was just really weird.
Yeah, but again, it was just like drops on you. It's like, here it is.
And it was just like, well, why not wait? Why didn't you just wait till the day after the league?
It's a bit drastic.
Yeah, it just had to do it on league day. It's like, well, why? Why couldn't you just wait a day?
Saturday is league day.
And then it was just like, oh, Eternatus.
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, you beat the game now. Oh, go do the league. Oh, you've done the league. Oh.
You've done the league, and the league, like, as interesting as it was, I didn't feel like...
Didn't feel as... It was weird. It was weird. It didn't feel as tiered. It just felt like, here's a battle. Here's a battle. Here's not like going up. It just felt like, here's some battles.
Here's some battle. It was an interesting way of doing it, because then you fought, like, re-fought the gym leaders and stuff, and then once you did the post-game and stuff, if you went back and did it, you could fight other trainers and stuff. But it just felt like that you were... It just didn't feel like an end to it. And then one of the things they mentioned, they really wanted to like hit this point home, was that in Galar, there's a major league and a minor league.
Yeah, they really like mentioned that a lot, and it was like...
And then there was just nothing about it. And it was just like, okay, well, why did you tell us that?
It made it sound like he was like like gyms sort of thing.
You're like, in the post game, you might be able to go into like the minor league, and you could, or that was the minor league, and then you're going to go into the major league.
Yeah, like you'd refight them with like different gyms and stuff.
Yeah, there was like different gym leaders in the major and minor
mixed
league.
Messages. I mean, like that's why a lot of people kicked off on national decks, because they get mixed messages, and then they were like, oh, we've bloody booted it and stuff. But I don't know. I'm not bothered about that. And people go on complaining about the graphics, but graphics are great.
Graphically it was beautiful, and people were like, there's a tree there, and it looks...
People just know about national decks, and then you try to pick holes in everything else, basically.
Like, oh, the moves are the same. It's the same animation. It's like, is it?
Like, I get it. The more and more games they make, the more Pokemon have to model, and the more they're gonna have to do it in a really roundabout way to include them all. Like they're doing it now, DLC gradually. And they're not including them all in DLC, but they probably by the time the next game comes around, they'll have more models and stuff.
And like, I appreciated the Isle of Armor for what it was.
I still haven't finished it.
I really like Urshifu.
I like the area.
Yeah, the area is beautiful. And I really like Urshifu.
Really cool.
Urshifu is like a really cool Pokemon.
Yeah, like they've introduced like new Pokemon by DLC again.
And then even then, it's saying like, well, Urshifu is not actually from Galar.
Really?
It's from a different region.
God. Did that Meltan?
Yeah. Oh, fucking Meltan. And I was getting a G-Max one.
I remember seeing that when I looked up like all the
I was just like, what the hell?
There, well, yeah, good things. The Pokedex was great. Pokemon, the new Pokemon.
The new Pokemon were great. The new Galar forms were fantastic. Like Weezing.
I like Dynamax. I think it's a better version than Megas.
Yeah. And it doesn't last the whole battle. I think that's one thing.
It's like an impressive thing. It's really cool. I mean, it's like when I first saw it, I was like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, and then G-Max
it's
were
like,
interesting.
it's cool. It's just like something you can just do, and then it's like temporary. And it's cool.
Yeah. And G-Max was interesting, like, because they weren't megas, but they like
they had like a different form, which was cool. And then he made it so you could change Pokemon to have that because he like locked you out of it if you didn't have a certain Pokemon in the base game. But yeah, he's very conflicted about Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
Maybe once the Frozen Tundra out, it could
creep up,
posthumously go up, sort of thing.
Based on what I've seen of the Frozen Tundra, the Crown Tundra.
Crown Tundra,
yeah. I'm going to enjoy that more than the Isle of Armor.
I just wish you'd put things like trainers into the wild areas. Just little things like wandering around and you see a trainer.
Yeah. I mean, they're introducing like new legendaries and stuff, but they're introducing like the Galarian versions of the birds, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and the Reggies.
And then just like
just extra Leckies. Extra Leckies.
Extra Leckies. But like based on just like the appearance of it, like the Crown Tundra just looks stunning. I love the look of the Crown Tundra.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of Okami.
Yeah.
If you actually look at the trees, they had that like like the what do you call it, like the branch at the top and it curves around.
Yeah.
They look like that, and they're like very much like cherry blossom sort of trees and stuff. And it just looks visually beautiful and stuff. And I'm excited to see that. I think it's going to be more focused on the story and the legendary side of it, whereas like obviously the other one was more focused on competitive and all that.
I think that's the thing with us, because we're not. I mean, Andy's more competitive than I am, and he's not really that competitive.
Yeah.
So it's just for us. The core Pokemon games have sort of suffered as a result. Of focus on.
It's like you need to focus on by all means focus on like the competitive side of it, but don't
exclusively.
Yeah, don't do that at the expense of like the single player, because that's where Pokemon started. That's where it is at its roots. So don't take away from the story and everything, and then just like be like, oh, this is.
Because even things like killing the Pokedex feels less.
Look at my hair sticking out the side here.
Oh, Zola. See, that's rather just up Andy's head in this game. We really enjoyed the game.
We really enjoyed the game. Like,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, I one of my favorite areas in the game is Bolonlia. And like the Glimwood Tangle.
It just makes me like, oh, the things could have done.
Yeah.
It's the first like main console game. Like Let's Go were like tests, but that was like a crossover between.
I feel like that happens a lot with the new generation. You know, like not new generations, but new.
They're sort of finding the feet, aren't they, sort of thing.
Yeah, if you look at Ruby and Sapphire.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
I mean, like, I completely get it. I can get why they're doing it, and I'm not like angry at it.
No, it's
just like compared to other games, it's just like, oh.
Yeah.
We see the things that aren't there.
Yeah. It's just like, well,
I mean, that's the whole point of this series.
Yeah.
We're comparing them and ranking them. From Trubbish to Arceus.
But I think that's everyone.
That's it.
That's all of them. So what do you think, Daniel? Would you agree with this?
Yeah, so we've got, let's go in order from top to bottom.
So we've got Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
That's the first.
Crystal.
Yeah.
Platinum. Gold, Silver. Oras.
That's in top tier.
That's in Arceus tier. Elite 4 level. Emerald. Fire Red, Leaf Green. Yellow, Red and Blue.
Yeah.
A good Pika Romp. Diamond and Pearl. Sun and Moon. Black and White. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Ruby Sapphire.
Yeah, that's about right. They're about average, aren't they?
Yeah. They're good, but they're not.
Yeah, because like Diamond Pearl's like top of like, you know.
Yeah. It just the things that the few things that were wrong with Diamond and Pearl just don't put it in Elite 4 level. I feel. Unless you want to put it right at the end of Elite Four and move that over.
Ooh, do I? Yeah.
Yeah?
Knock it up one.
Knock it up a notch.
Let's knock it up one. That's kind of down.
Yeah. And then I think Sun and Moon is probably like the best sort of like average. I'm just gonna leave it like that for now because
I'll save that back in the Dropbox as is because I'll know the position like where we put them on for reference.
Not quite a feedback. We have X and Y, Black 2 and White 2, and Sword and Shield.
It's about right.
Yeah, I'd say it's about right.
It's annoying because Sword and Shield should be like at least average with a lot of the stuff it does, but for the points we mentioned, it drags it right down.
And a little bit rubbish. Let's go Pikachu, let's go Eevee.
Andrew despises it, and I can't really have a pick it, so in the bin it goes. Andrew. That was a long one, but I think it's a good introduction to
I think it was
to the
nice
series. So like I said, this is an idea I sort of had, but then stolen from us, like I said. Well, I thought it'd be a good idea. It's a good thing to get discussion going.
Yes.
And it's like an overall thing. We're doing other videos like this, not just for games. It'll be things part of games, like characters, things, worlds, things like that.
But yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Let us know what you'd order stuff. Out of these games that we've got listed here, what would you order them as in these tiers?
Yeah, list the tiers and what you'd put them in.
Yeah,
would be interesting, and also tell us what you think of the series idea as well.
Yeah. So thank you very much for watching, and this is the Drew Gamer and Dan of Danji's Designs signing out, and we'll see you in the next videos.
Bye.
Bye.